I'm Darv James and welcome to this episode of The Bald Book Geek. This is from the archive. I recorded this a year ago, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Remember to like, subscribe, tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you want to support this channel, please check out membership, Patreon, and Substack. So let's get into it. Let's look at the brilliant Alice Hoffman, my favourite writer. There are some writers that don't shout for your attention. They don't trend on social media. They don't make headlines. They don't fit into whatever genre label is selling this year. And yet somehow they linger. Their words stay in your mind like half-remembered dreams, and for me, Alice Hoffman is one of those writers. Every time I go back to her books, I remember how rare her kind of storytelling is. The kind that makes everyday life feel enchanted without lying about how hard it can be. Hoffman's writing about love, loss, grief, forgiveness. She always finds those faint threads of wonder that run through everything, every tragedy. Her words are recognizable, but they hum with this quiet supernatural rhythm. It's like something just something beyond our understanding is always watching. Hoffman has this ability to blend magic and realism so completely that you stop noticing where one ends and the other begins. In her books, the supernatural isn't some grand fantasy system. It's emotional logic. It's grief taking physical form, love echoing across generations, guilt turning into literal storms. Her magic is never escapist, it's reflective, symbolic. A woman in Hoff's novel might curse someone and regret it for the rest of her life, not because it's witchy, but because it's about the weight of the words, the permanency of our actions. It's myth used to explore memory, the everyday miracle, not the spectacle, and that's the essence of Hoffman's work. She writes like she still believes in omens, in fate, in the idea that love leaves fingerprints on a world even after we're gone. If you've only ever read Practical Magic, you might think of Hoffman as the witchy lady, but her body of work is so deep and far broader than that. Practical Magic is an entry point for a lot of people, and for good reason. It's funny, it's melancholic, it's full of heart, but the witchcraft is really just a vessel. It's about grief, sisterhood, the impossibilities of escaping your past. And the way she builds the world through rules of magic, magic lessons, and the book of magic is like watching folklore evolve in real time. Each novel added another layer to that history, another generation of resilience and pain. It's not about spells, it's about inheritance. Then there's The Red Garden, which is probably one of her most underrated masterpieces. It's a collection of interconnected stories spanning centuries in a single town in Massachusetts. These stories are threaded together by a garden that grows impossible red apples and strange flowers. A living memory of everything that happened there. That book might be the purest expression of what Alice Hoffman does best. She makes history feel alive, emotional, haunted in the most beautiful sense. Hoffman's women are the kind of characters you feel lived in. They're not heroes, heroines, not victims, not archetypes, they're just humans. In Faithful, she gives us Shelby, a young woman surviving a car crash that ends her best friend, and she's consumed by grief, self-punishment, depression. She shaves her head, rescues dogs, works meaningless jobs. It's not glamorous suffering, it's real, raw, emotional and endless pain. And Hoffman never looks away. She doesn't sanitize trauma or turn it into an Instagram-ready redemption arc. Instead, she finds beauty in the small acts of healing, rescuing animals, writing anonymous postcards of encouragement to strangers. Her message isn't everything happens for a reason. It's sometimes there's no reason, but there can still be grace. And then you have The Ice Queen, which might be her coldest, most introspective book. It's about a woman struck by lightning who loses her ability to feel emotion. She meets another survivor, a man literally made of fire. Together they try and fall themselves back into life. It's mythic, yes, but it's also a story about depression, isolation, and learning to forgive yourself. In Here on Earth, Hoffman does something brilliant. She takes Wuthering Heights, the ultimate gothic, I'll say love story, but it really isn't, and reimagines it in modern Massachusetts. And it's not romantic, it's devastating, because she has no interest in romanticizing toxic love. She dissects it, showing how obsession corrodes the soul, how nostalgia can trap you in a void. It's haunting, beautifully written book that forces readers to confront the difference between passion and possession, and it fits perfectly within Hoffman's larger worldview. Love isn't just an emotion, it's an inheritance, a responsibility, something that can survive through time, in stories, in family curses we can't shake. Her characters don't just fall in love, they're haunted by it. One of my absolute favourites of hers is The Museum of Extraordinary Things. Set in the early 20th century New York, it's about a girl raised on Coney Island in a sideshow, part freak show, part pseudoscience museum, and a boy who photographs tragedies in newspapers. It's historical fiction, but it's like a fairy tale of the industrial age. Every image of the book, fire, water, reflection, illustration, it's like reading a myth set in sepia tone. And it's beautiful. But what I love the most is how it captures the end of innocence, both for the city and for its people. The idea that the modern world, industrialization and rationalization of everything, we lose a sacred sense of wonder, and Hoffman mourns the loss. You can feel her typing that into the pages. You can feel her trying to preserve a world where miracles still mean something, even if they were tragic. Then there's the Dovekeepers. This book I've gone back to too many times. A beautiful historical novel. It's brutal, spiritual, full of dust, blood, and prayers. This is Hoffman at her most mythic, but she still finds the humanity in it. She takes a huge historical tragedy, and then that often tends to be sweeping and epic, and reframes it through a quiet endurance of a woman. The Dovekeepers, these women who care for fragile life amongst destruction, become a metaphor for storytelling itself, for preserving memory, where everything else is burning. That's the Hoffman paradox in a nutshell. She writes about fragility, but her works endure because it's strong in its tenderness. Alice Hoffman exists in this strange middle ground. She's too magical for literary fiction crowd, too grounded for the fantasy crowd. She often gets overlooked, which I think is a real tragedy, because she's quietly built one of the most consistent and emotionally rich bodies of work in the last 50 years. She's not trying to reinvent literature, she's trying to remind you what it's for, to comfort, to connect, to transform pain into beauty. And that's why her books last, that's why they grow with you. You can read Practical Magic as a teenager and think it's about witches and love spells, but when you reread it as an adult and realise it's about grief and about carrying the weight of family and loss, it hits differently. I think the reason Hoffman still matters, maybe more than ever, is because she writes what sincerity in a world. She writes with sincerity in a world that seems to be allergic to it. Her books aren't cathartic. They don't wink at readers. They don't try to be clever about suffering. They just feel, and that's rare. She makes it okay to believe that beauty and tragedy can exist simultaneously. That sometimes a miracle isn't survival, it's staying soft afterwards. In her world, love doesn't fix you, but it helps you live with the cracks. And that's the most human kind of magic there is. So, if you've been here a while, if it's been a while since you've picked up one of her books, do it. Start reading somewhere. The Ice Queen, if you want to sit with grief. Faithful if you want healing, the Red Garden if you want to remember where you came from, or practical magic if you just need to believe again. Hoffman's writing about things we lose, and the small, miraculous ways we find them again. And in a world that's constantly loud, angry, and ironic, her voice feels like a candle in a window. Small, steady, and always, somehow, still burning.